Welcome to World Information HD, your trusted channel for fascinating facts, rare discoveries, and hidden treasures. In today's video, we'll uncover the top 5 most valuable and rare Lincoln pennies from the United States, coins that look small and ordinary, yet are worth millions of dollars. Stay tuned, because one of these rare cents could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change right now, the penny. A small coin that so many of us overlook in our daily lives, yet hidden among those ordinary copper-colored cents could be treasures worth far more than their face value. In the world of numismatics, every single detail counts, whether it's the year stamped on the surface, the absence or presence of a tiny mint mark, or a variation in design created by the striking machines of the U.S. Mint. And today, we are diving into one of those fascinating little treasures that most people have passed over without a second thought. The 1974 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. This coin is not only a part of America's everyday history but also carries a unique story that links back to one of the most significant eras in coin production, the 1970s, a decade of change, experimentation, and challenges for the U.S. Mint. If you have ever wondered how a penny could possibly be worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars, then stay tuned, because the story of the 1974 no-mint mark penny will leave you with a whole new appreciation for the smallest denomination in American currency. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln cent, first issued in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, has become one of the most collected coins in the world. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features the iconic bust of Lincoln, while the reverse in 1974 still displayed the classic Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. By 1974, the Lincoln cent had already gone through decades of circulation and several shifts in composition. Yet, this particular year marked something very special in the timeline of American coinage. You see, the early 1970s were a turbulent time for the U.S. Mint. The price of copper was climbing, and the government had to start looking into alternative materials to keep producing pennies without losing money. That's right, by the early 70s, it was actually costing the mint almost as much, and in some cases more, to produce a 1-cent coin than the coin itself was worth. In 1974, the U.S. Mint began experimenting with different materials, most notably aluminum. Over 1 million experimental 1974 aluminum cents were struck, though most were later recalled and destroyed. Only a few survive today, locked away in private collections or the hands of institutions. These experimental coins sparked enormous interest, and that spotlight naturally fell on the regular 1974 Lincoln cents as well. The standard 1974 penny was struck primarily in copper, with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. However, the detail that collectors focus on is the mint mark, or in this case, the lack of one. A mint mark is a small letter stamped onto a coin that tells us where it was made. For example, pennies with a D come from the Denver Mint, those with an S are from San Francisco, and those with no mint mark at all are from the Philadelphia Mint. The 1974 no mint mark penny was struck in Philadelphia, and because Philadelphia did not place mint marks on pennies at that time, the absence of a mint mark is normal for the period. But here's where things get fascinating. While the coin may look ordinary at first glance, collectors and enthusiasts have found that high-quality, well-preserved examples of the 1974 Philadelphia penny can fetch remarkable amounts at auctions. This is due not only to the experimentation of the era but also to the difficulty of finding coins that have survived in pristine condition after nearly half a century of circulation. Think about it for a moment. Pennies are perhaps the most abused coin in circulation. They're thrown into jars, left at the bottoms of drawers, dropped into vending machines, scratched against surfaces, and carried around for years in pockets and purses. By the time a penny has been circulating for a few decades, it usually shows heavy wear. Finding a 1974 no-mint mark penny with sharp detail, minimal scratches, and strong luster is incredibly rare. For collectors, that rarity translates directly into value. Beyond condition, there are other factors that make the 1974 no-mint mark penny an object of fascination. Certain varieties and errors can make a coin from this year stand out even more. Some coins were struck with slight doubling on the date or lettering, known as a double die error. Others may have been weakly struck, or show small variations in the surface caused during the minting process. These types of coins can push values even higher because error coins represent a snapshot of history when the minting machines didn't operate perfectly. Now, let's paint a picture of the world in 1974 to better understand the environment in which this coin was born. America was going through a period of economic stress. Inflation was on the rise, energy crises were shaking the economy, and trust in government institutions was faltering. The penny itself was under scrutiny. Discussions about whether to eliminate or change the penny were already taking place, with arguments that the coin was becoming too costly to make and too insignificant in value to keep. Against this backdrop, the 1974 penny serves as a kind of time capsule. It's a coin that reflects the debate over cost, production, and value in the U.S. monetary system. For coin collectors today, owning a 1974 no-mint mark penny is not just about the metal itself, it's about owning a piece of that history. When you hold one of these coins, especially in excellent condition, you are holding something that survived not only decades of use but also a period when the very existence of the penny was in question. But what makes it even more exciting is how these coins have surprised collectors in the marketplace. Time and time again, examples of the 1974 no-mint mark penny in top condition have sold for amounts that leave casual observers stunned. A coin that once bought a stick of gum or paid the sales tax on a candy bar can now be worth thousands, depending on grade and rarity. Imagine searching through your pocket change, only to find that one of those dull-looking old cents is actually a small fortune in disguise. That thrill is part of what keeps collectors and treasure hunters constantly on the lookout. Another point that collectors love is the nostalgia factor. For many people, the 1974 penny might have been in circulation during their childhood. They might remember buying something small at the store with a handful of pennies or saving them up in a piggy bank. Finding that same coin today in pristine, mint-state condition connects them to those memories while also offering a chance to own something of significant financial value. And let's not forget the sheer artistry behind the design. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln on the obverse has stood the test of time, becoming one of the most recognizable coin designs in the world. The reverse, with the Lincoln Memorial, offers its own symbolic weight. Every detail of those columns and steps, every line engraved into the coin, adds to the appeal for those who see coins not just as currency, but as miniature works of art. So, the big question remains, just how much can the 1974 no-mint mark penny be worth? Well, while many circulated examples are still only worth face value or perhaps a few cents to collectors, those special specimens, the ones that have been preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition, or those that show rare errors, are a completely different story. These coins can reach values that most people would never associate with something as humble as a penny. It all comes down to rarity, demand, and condition. The fewer pristine coins available, the more collectors are willing to pay. Combine that with the unique backstory of the 1974 era, the experiments with aluminum cents, the economic challenges, and the symbolism of Lincoln himself, and you have the perfect recipe for a coin that can command extraordinary prices on the collector's market. Now, as promised, let's reveal the figure that turns this coin from pocket change into a hidden treasure. One such 1974 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has been sold for an astounding value of $19,467. The story of the Lincoln penny is one of the most fascinating chapters in the history of American coinage. While many people overlook the humble 1-cent piece as nothing more than a small and nearly forgotten coin in their pockets, collectors, numismatists, and historians know that every penny tells a story. Today, we turn our attention to one particular coin, the 1978 D-Mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Though it may appear ordinary at first glance, this coin has sparked curiosity among collectors because of its historical context, its variations, and its surprising worth when found in excellent condition. In this detailed journey, we will uncover not only the story of the coin itself, but also the broader history of the Lincoln cent, what makes 1978 unique, how mint marks play a critical role in determining value, and what to look for if you happen to stumble across one in your collection or pocket change. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was revolutionary at the time because it was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real person rather than symbolic imagery. Lincoln's iconic profile on the obverse immediately set the coin apart, and the design has endured for more than a century, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. By 1978, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 70 years, but its popularity remained strong. Millions of people handled these coins every single day without realizing that some carried traits that could make them highly collectible. The 1970s was a decade of change for America. Inflation, economic shifts, and political turbulence all played a role in shaping the country. By the time 1978 rolled around, the penny still held value in everyday transactions. A single cent could buy something small at the store, and children often saved their pennies to trade for candies or toys. It's almost hard to believe now, but pennies truly mattered in everyday commerce. And in Denver, Colorado, one of the busiest U.S. mints was striking Lincoln cents at a rapid pace, placing the tiny letter D below the date to indicate its origin. These are the coins we're exploring today. The 1978 D mint mark Lincoln cents. One might wonder why a penny minted in 1978, a relatively recent year compared to the older coins from the early 20th century, would be worth much at all. After all, billions of pennies were minted during that time. The answer lies in a combination of condition, rarity of high-grade examples, and small varieties or errors that intrigue collectors. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of pennies in 1978, and most of them entered circulation, where they were used, handled, scratched, and worn down. Because of this, finding a coin from that year in pristine, uncirculated condition is far less common than it might seem. For collectors, the condition of a coin is everything. A penny that has been sitting in circulation for decades, showing scratches, discoloration, and general wear, may only be worth face value. But when the same penny is found in near perfect condition, known as mint state, it becomes a treasure. The grading scale used by professionals ranges from poor all the way up to a perfect 70. A 1978 D penny graded highly, especially above MS 65, can command a premium price simply because very few examples survive in such exceptional condition. Adding to the intrigue are varieties and errors. Error coins are accidental mistakes that occur during the minting process, and they are highly sought after by collectors. Examples include doubled dies, where the design appears doubled, off-center strikes where the image is not properly aligned, or even coins struck on the wrong planchet. For 1978 D pennies, a small number of doubled die obverses and other anomalies have been reported, making those particular examples worth significantly more than a standard strike. Collectors search tirelessly through rolls of pennies, bags of coins, and old jars hidden in attics, hoping to spot these small differences. The mint mark itself also plays a critical role. In 1978, pennies were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, while the Denver coins carried the D. Collectors pay attention to this distinction because production quality and survival rates can vary between mints. The Denver Mint, in particular, produced large quantities, but finding superb gems from this facility has proven difficult. The subtle D beneath the date serves as a reminder of where the coin originated, and it becomes an identifying feature that can enhance its desirability. Another layer of fascination with the 1978 penny lies in its composition. Prior to 1982, pennies were made mostly of copper, with a small percentage of zinc. After 1982, the U.S. Mint changed the composition to primarily zinc with a thin copper coating, drastically reducing the intrinsic metal value. This means that every penny minted in 1978 is composed of about 95% copper, and this alone adds a layer of appeal. Collectors and even metal enthusiasts recognize that pre-1982 pennies have more intrinsic value than their later zinc counterparts. The fact that a 1978 D penny contains real copper makes it part of a last era of higher quality coinage, before cost-cutting measures changed the standard. When it comes to value, not every 1978 D penny will make someone rich. Most examples found in circulation are worth only a cent or perhaps a small premium to collectors assembling date and mint mark sets. However, when the right combination of factors comes together, excellent condition, rarity, and possibly an error, the value can increase dramatically. Auction records reveal that some of these coins, especially those in top-graded mint state condition, have sold for astonishing amounts. This surprises many casual collectors who might dismiss a penny from the 1970s as being too common to be worth much. The world of coin collecting thrives on details and rarity. To a non-collector, 2 pennies from 1978 may look identical. But to the trained eye, tiny differences in luster, strike sharpness, or preservation separate an ordinary example from a gem that might fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The thrill lies in the hunt, and countless enthusiasts spend hours searching through rolls of coins distributed by banks, flea markets, or inherited collections. Stories abound of people who casually set aside old pennies, only to later discover that they possessed a valuable rarity. The 1978 D penny holds that potential, which is why it continues to be a coin of interest in the numismatic community. Consider the emotional aspect of coin collecting as well. These coins are small pieces of history. A 1978 D penny not only represents its metal and design, but also carries the weight of the era in which it was minted. It reminds us of the economic conditions of the late 1970s, the cultural shifts happening in America, and the fact that ordinary people use these coins every day. For a collector, owning such a piece is like holding a time capsule. That connection to history is priceless, and it explains why so many pursue the hobby with passion. Collectors also emphasize the importance of proper storage and preservation. A 1978 D penny kept in a protective holder, away from moisture and fingerprints, will retain its condition far better than one left loose in a drawer. This is why professional coin grading services exist. They not only authenticate the coin but also assign it a grade that can significantly impact its market value. A high-grade, certified 1978 D penny can command prices that might shock anyone unfamiliar with the coin world. One of the most thrilling aspects for casual collectors is that valuable coins can still be found in circulation. While the odds are slim, people do occasionally discover high-grade coins and change or inherit jars full of pennies containing overlooked treasures. The possibility that a seemingly ordinary 1978 D penny could turn out to be rare and valuable keeps the excitement alive. It transforms every coin jar into a potential treasure chest. So, what is the actual value of the 1978 D Lincoln 1-cent penny? The answer depends on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Circulated coins are usually only worth a cent. Uncirculated examples might fetch a few dollars. But in extremely high grades, especially when certified, the value climbs sharply. Auction houses have witnessed remarkable sales of these coins, demonstrating just how much collectors are willing to pay for pristine examples of a coin most people overlook. And here lies the most fascinating part. One particular 1978 D Lincoln cent, preserved in nearly flawless condition, once crossed the auction block and achieved an astonishing price that left collectors stunned. That single penny, a coin worth only 1 cent at face value, sold for $13,488. The world of coin collecting has always been filled with fascination, discovery, and an endless pursuit of hidden treasures that might be resting quietly in the palm of your hand. Sometimes, a coin you've overlooked for years might be the very piece that turns out to be worth more than you could ever imagine. Today, we dive deep into the captivating story of a coin that many people have brushed past without a second thought, the 1979 Lincoln penny with the Denver Mint mark. At first glance, this coin doesn't appear to be anything extraordinary. It is small, copper-colored, and a denomination most people rarely consider beyond its face value. Yet, in the hidden corners of numismatic history, the 1979 D penny has become an object of intrigue, value, and a story worth retelling in detail. To understand why a simple penny from this year could command attention, we need to take a step back into history. The Lincoln cent has been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1909, introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Its design, created by Victor David Brenner, featured the beloved profile of Lincoln on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing America's agricultural heritage. For decades, the coin was cherished not only for its design but also for the historic significance it carried. Fast forward to 1959, when the reverse design changed to the Lincoln Memorial, a fitting tribute to the nation's 16th president. This reverse design, created by Frank Gasparo, remained in place for 50 years, becoming one of the most familiar coin designs in circulation. By 1979, Americans were long accustomed to seeing this coin in their pockets, so few paid close attention to any particular year's issue. But collectors and coin enthusiasts always look deeper. The late 1970s were a turbulent time for American coinage. The United States Mint was facing growing challenges with inflation, production costs, and metal shortages. Copper prices were rising steadily, which placed pressure on the mint since pennies were made mostly of copper at the time. In fact, just a few years later, in 1982, the composition of the penny would change dramatically, shifting from nearly solid copper to copper-plated zinc, a decision that was born out of the economic struggles of this era. That makes the pennies of the late 1970s, including the 1979 D issue, particularly interesting to collectors. The D mint mark on the coin tells its own story. It signifies that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest facilities in the country. The Denver Mint was known for its large-scale production and efficiency, churning out millions upon millions of coins each year. In 1979 alone, over 4 billion Lincoln cents were minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. With so many in circulation, you might assume that none could ever be rare or valuable. But as with many things in coin collecting, rarity is not always about mintage numbers. It's about condition, era varieties, and small details that make a coin stand out. One of the biggest reasons certain 1979 D pennies gain extraordinary attention is the issue of condition. Most of these coins entered circulation and suffered the wear and tear of everyday use. They passed through countless hands, rattled around in pockets, and were stored in jars for years. A circulated 1979 D penny might be worth only face value. But when a coin is discovered in pristine, uncirculated condition, preserved carefully for decades, its value skyrockets. Collectors will pay a premium for what they call mint state, or gem quality, examples, where the coin shows no signs of wear and retains its original luster. Era coins from 1979 also spark enormous excitement. Sometimes, mistakes occur during the minting process, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or die cracks, that create unique and collectible pieces. No two era coins are exactly alike, and that uniqueness is what drives collectors to bid extraordinary amounts for them. For the 1979 D penny, errors like doubled dies or misaligned dies have been recorded, and these variations can make the coin far more desirable than a standard strike. To fully appreciate why collectors chase after coins like the 1979 D penny, it helps to understand the culture of numismatics. Collectors often look beyond the face value and see coins as tiny historical artifacts. Every coin carries a story of the year it was minted, the struggles of the nation at the time, and the artistry of its engraver. In 1979, America was experiencing economic uncertainty, energy crises, and the shifting cultural landscape of the late 20th century. Owning a coin from that year is like holding a fragment of that history. Another layer of fascination comes from grading. Coins are carefully examined and assigned a grade based on their condition, ranging from poor to perfect uncirculated. The grading scale, known as the Sheldon scale, runs from 1 to 70. For modern coins like the 1979 penny, grades above MS 65, mint state 65, are considered exceptional. A 1979 D penny graded MS 67 or higher can command serious attention in auctions. These high-grade coins are rare because the mass production process at the Denver Mint often resulted in small imperfections that prevent a coin from achieving a perfect grade. In recent years, collectors and investors alike have started paying more attention to modern coins, not just ancient rarities or early American issues. This renewed interest has pushed prices higher for exceptional examples of coins once thought to be common. The 1979 D penny falls into this category, a modern coin that has surprised many with its potential value when discovered in remarkable condition. It's also important to remember that value in coin collecting is not only financial. Many collectors treasure coins like the 1979 D penny for sentimental reasons. Perhaps it was the first coin they ever discovered in a collection, or maybe it reminds them of a time in their childhood. These personal connections make numismatics a hobby filled with passion and storytelling. Still, when passion meets rarity and condition, the financial rewards can be astounding. When auction houses list a 1979 D penny in near-perfect condition, the buzz it creates among collectors is undeniable. Bidders compete intensely, knowing that owning such a coin is like securing a small piece of history. The thrill of the chase, combined with the pride of ownership, makes the world of rare pennies endlessly captivating. Imagine holding a coin that looks almost identical to millions of others, yet yours is the one that survived decades without a single scratch, nick, or blemish. It's that rarity within the ordinary that transforms a simple penny into something extraordinary. That's the magic of the 1979 D Lincoln cent. So the next time you sift through a handful of change or glance at a penny lying forgotten in a drawer, take a closer look. Examine the date, check for the mint mark, and see if you might be holding a piece that collectors desperately seek. You may think it's just 1 cent, but in the world of coin collecting, that tiny copper disc could hold a story and a value far beyond what you expect. The journey of the 1979 D penny reminds us of the power of small things, how something as overlooked as a cent can capture history, artistry, and economic lessons, all while potentially becoming a valuable treasure. Collectors continue to chase after these coins, not only for the thrill of profit but also for the joy of discovering beauty and rarity in the most unexpected places. And now, after exploring the history, the minting, the errors, the grading, and the passion behind this coin, we arrive at the ultimate question: what is the highest value that a 1979 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny has ever reached? In a moment that astonished collectors and solidified its place in numismatic history, this small copper coin was once valued at $16,300. Welcome back to another fascinating episode on rare United States coins, where history, mystery, and hidden treasure come together in the palm of your hand. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet surprisingly valuable coins in American history, the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. At first glance, it may look like just an ordinary copper-colored coin resting in your pocket change. But as we will soon uncover, this simple penny holds a remarkable story of craftsmanship, scarcity, and hidden value that has captured the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters alike. Before we get into the heart of the story, let's set the stage with a little historical background. The year 1981 was a time of transition in America. The country was moving into a new decade, the Reagan administration was taking its first steps, inflation was still a pressing issue, and industries were evolving rapidly. Amid these sweeping changes, even something as small as the penny was about to undergo a transformation. You see, the Lincoln cent had been in circulation since 1909, honoring the nation's beloved 16th president, Abraham Lincoln. By 1981, the design by Victor David Brenner had already become a timeless classic, and it had gone through decades of continuous production. However, behind the scenes, the U.S. Mint was preparing for a big shift. Pennies were still being struck primarily in a copper composition, 95% copper and 5% zinc, which had been the standard for years. But rising metal costs were putting pressure on the mint to change the composition of the coin. In fact, just a year later, in 1982, the mint would permanently switch to a primarily zinc coin with only a thin copper plating. This makes the pennies of 1981 the last full year of true copper Lincoln cents. That detail alone gives them a special place in history. But the story becomes even more intriguing when we talk about mint marks. Normally, coins struck in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while coins from Denver have a small D, and coins from San Francisco, primarily proofs, carry an S. For casual collectors, the absence of a mint mark might not sound like anything unusual. After all, most coins from Philadelphia have historically been struck without one. Yet, The way 1981 pennies were produced, combined with the transitional period that followed in 1982, makes certain examples of the 1981 no-mint mark penny highly sought after by collectors. Imagine holding a coin that the world dismisses as pocket change, but to the trained eye of a collector, it represents the end of an era. A piece of history right before one of the biggest changes in modern American coinage. That is what makes the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny so exciting. Now, what exactly makes some of these coins valuable, while others are simply worth 1 cent? It comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. Let's begin with condition, which plays a huge role in determining the worth of any coin. Most pennies in circulation today have scratches, wear, discoloration, and damage from being handled for decades. These worn examples are common and worth just their face value. But if you happen to find a 1981 penny in pristine condition, perhaps even one that has never been circulated, then you are holding something that could be worth far more than just a single cent. Professional coin grading services, such as PCGS and NGC, evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless, perfect coin. When a 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is found in mint state condition, especially in higher grades like MS67 or MS68, its value skyrockets. This is because very few coins survive the test of time in such perfect shape. For collectors building sets or for investors seeking the very best examples, those near-perfect coins are treasures worth paying serious money for. Another key factor in determining value is the presence of errors and varieties. Coins sometimes leave the mint with striking mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, or other unique flaws that turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. For the 1981 no-mint mark penny, certain double die varieties have been documented, where the lettering or numbers on the coin show slight doubling when examined under magnification. These error coins are rare and can dramatically increase the value. It's almost like owning a one-of-a-kind piece of art, because no two mint errors are exactly the same. What's fascinating is how many people overlook these details. Millions of pennies pass through our hands every single day, and yet so few of us take the time to look closely. A small scratch, an extra line, a slight doubling in the word Liberty, or a faint shift in Lincoln's profile could be the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now let's talk about collector demand, the driving force behind any coin's value. The Lincoln cent is arguably the most collected coin in America. From young children starting coin collections with penny boards to seasoned numismatists who dedicate decades to building complete sets, the Lincoln penny has universal appeal. Because of this demand, even small differences in condition or rarity can lead to dramatic price jumps. And since 1981 represents the final full year of copper cents, collectors often look for high-quality examples of this date to include in their sets. This brings us to the incredible stories of auctions and private sales where 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cents have fetched impressive sums. Imagine sitting in an auction hall, surrounded by passionate collectors, as a single penny crosses the block. The bidding begins modestly, but as the rarity and pristine condition of the coin become clear, hands rise, paddles lift, and the price climbs higher and higher. It's a thrilling scene where a coin most people would overlook on the sidewalk transforms into a prized treasure. In fact, the story of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is a reminder of how much hidden value exists in everyday life. Think about it. How many pennies have you ignored, tossed into a jar, or left behind at the counter as spare change? What if one of them held the potential to surprise you with an incredible value? That's the beauty of coin collecting. It teaches us to look closer, to pay attention to the small details, and to uncover history in the most unexpected places. But the journey of the 1981 penny doesn't stop at history or condition. It also connects us to the broader story of American coinage. This coin marks the end of the true copper era, a period that stretched back to the earliest days of U.S. coinage. After 1981, pennies became lighter, less durable, and less valuable in terms of metal content. Many collectors see the 1981 penny as the last, real, penny, making it a nostalgic and symbolic coin. Owning one is almost like holding the final chapter of a long tradition before the modern era took over. Let's not forget the artistry of the design itself. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, first engraved by Victor David Brenner in 1909, remains one of the most iconic coin designs in history. It symbolizes strength, leadership, and unity, reminding us of Lincoln's enduring legacy. On the reverse, the image of the Lincoln Memorial connects us to Washington, D.C., and the heart of the nation's history. These designs, combined with the historical context of 1981, make the penny more than just money. It is a miniature piece of art and history blended into one. For those who may be wondering how to identify whether their 1981 penny has potential value, the process is simple but requires patience. First, examine the coin's condition. Look for sharp details, no wear, strong luster, and minimal scratches. Next, look closely under magnification for any signs of doubling in the date, letters, or Lincoln's profile. Pay special attention to the word, liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," as these are common places where doubling may appear. If you believe you have a coin in high condition or with a potential error, consider sending it to a professional grading service for evaluation. Collectors and treasure hunters alike have found it thrilling to search through jars, rolls of pennies, and even bank boxes in hopes of uncovering a hidden gem. Many stories have circulated of people discovering valuable coins in the most unexpected places, proving that treasure is often closer than we think. Who knows? The next great find could be sitting in your change right now. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is more than just small change. It is a symbol of America's past, a reminder of the copper legacy, and a coin that continues to inspire collectors. Its blend of history, artistry, rarity, and potential value makes it one of the most exciting pennies of modern times. So the next time you see a penny glimmering in your pocket, don't dismiss it. Take a closer look. You might just discover something extraordinary. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, mysteries, and hidden treasures that can completely change the way we look at the simplest objects we handle every day. Among all the coins that pass through our hands, few carry the same quiet charm and understated history as the Lincoln 1-cent penny. When most people think of valuable coins, they imagine something ancient, perhaps a silver dollar from the 1800s or a gold coin that hasn't been touched for a century. Yet, what many do not realize is that even pennies minted just a few decades ago can carry stories of value, mistakes, rarity, and collector obsession. Today, we will take a deep dive into one such coin, the 1987 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, this coin looks like nothing more than spare change, the type of penny you'd see at the bottom of a jar or wedged into the crack of a couch cushion. However, the truth is much more fascinating. This particular coin has become the subject of countless collector discussions, online forums, and treasure hunts across the United States. The 1987 D penny is not just a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc. It's a window into a very interesting time in American minting history, a period when technology and tradition were colliding, and when small errors or unusual strikes could create coins worth far more than their face value. To understand why the 1987 D penny holds such appeal, we first need to step back and look at its origins. By 1982, the United States Mint had officially transitioned away from producing pennies made of nearly solid copper. Instead, the penny became a coin made of zinc with a thin copper plating. This change was driven by the rising cost of copper, which made producing each coin more expensive than its actual face value. By the mid-1980s, the copper-plated zinc penny was firmly established, and the Denver Mint was striking millions upon millions of them every year. The 1987 D penny is one of those coins stamped with the tiny letter D just below the year, showing it came from the Denver Mint in Colorado. Now you might be wondering, if millions were made, why would anyone care about a 1987 D penny? The answer lies in the world of collectors. You see, not all pennies are created equal. Some are struck more cleanly, some have errors during production, and others are simply preserved in pristine condition, while the majority circulate until they're dull, scratched, and nearly unrecognizable. The 1987 D penny is fascinating because while it was mass-produced, finding one in excellent condition, especially one graded at a high level by professional coin grading services, can be incredibly challenging. Collectors value coins that stand out, and the 1987 D penny has, over the years, developed a reputation for being tricky to find in the highest grades. Imagine walking into a store, paying for something with cash, and unknowingly handing over a penny that could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. This is the thrill that keeps coin collectors searching, checking every coin that passes through their hands, hoping that one of them will turn out to be special. And the 1987 D penny has proven to be one of those coins that keeps the excitement alive. When examining a 1987 D penny, there are several factors that determine its value. First and foremost is condition. A penny that has been heavily circulated, with scratches, discoloration, and wear, will usually be worth no more than face value. But if that same penny has been preserved, perhaps forgotten in a roll or stored carefully, its shine and sharp details can make it highly desirable. Collectors use a grading scale, ranging from poor all the way up to mint state, to describe the condition of a coin. For the 1987 D penny, those that achieve the highest levels of mint state can command impressive prices at auctions. But condition isn't the only factor. Errors play a major role in creating value. During the minting process, accidents happen. Dies crack, strikes are off-center, plating may be uneven, or even double impressions might occur. For coin collectors, these errors are not flaws but rather unique fingerprints that make the coin one of a kind. The 1987 D penny is known to have several error varieties, and these error coins have become especially sought after. For example, an off-center strike where Lincoln's face is shifted to one side can turn a common penny into a rare collectible. Similarly, a double die, where details appear duplicated, can elevate the value far beyond what most would expect. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1987 D penny is how it bridges the world of modern coins and collectible rarities. Unlike coins from the 1800s or early 1900s, the 1987 penny isn't ancient. Many people alive today remember spending these exact coins when they were brand new. And yet, within such a recent coinage, treasures can still be found. This serves as a reminder that valuable coins are not always hidden in history books or locked away in museums. Sometimes they are sitting in your pocket right now, waiting for someone to notice. The Denver Mint itself adds an extra layer of history to this story. Established in the early 1900s, the Denver Mint has long been one of the most productive facilities of the U.S. mint system, striking billions of coins every year. By 1987, it was at full capacity, churning out coins that would go on to circulate nationwide. The little D mint mark, placed below the year, has become a symbol of that proud tradition. Collectors often pay close attention to mint marks, as some years and locations produced fewer coins, or had distinct striking characteristics. While the 1987 Denver penny was not produced in especially low numbers, its variations and conditions have made it a continuing object of fascination. The Lincoln Cent series, to which the 1987 D penny belongs, is itself one of the longest-running and most beloved coin series in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the penny replaced the Indian head cent and became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent has undergone some changes over the decades, but has remained remarkably consistent. The 1987 version features the familiar bust of Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that was used from 1959 to 2008. This design connects the coin not only to Lincoln's enduring legacy but also to American history itself, making even a seemingly ordinary penny a part of a much larger narrative. What makes the story even more compelling is the role collectors play in assigning value. At the end of the day, a penny is worth 1 cent to the economy. But in the marketplace of collectors, value is defined by rarity, demand, and the passion of those who chase after these coins. The 1987 D penny has seen auction prices that would leave most people stunned, all because of its condition, its errors, or its appeal to those building complete Lincoln cent collections. It's important to remember that not every 1987 penny is worth a fortune. In fact, the vast majority are still only worth face value. But it is precisely this fact that adds to the excitement. Out of millions produced, only a few stand out, and it is those few that become legends among collectors. The hunt for those special coins creates a sense of adventure, where every handful of change might contain a hidden treasure. For beginners entering the hobby, the 1987 penny is a perfect reminder of why coin collecting is so thrilling. It shows that even modern coins, even those as common as a penny, can carry stories of value and discovery. It teaches collectors to look closer, to pay attention to the details, and to appreciate the artistry and history behind each small coin. So, the next time you find yourself holding a penny from 1987 with that small D under the date, take a closer look. Examine the shine, the strike, the details on Lincoln's profile. Ask yourself if this could be one of those rare finds. Remember that behind every coin is a story, and behind every story is a piece of American history waiting to be appreciated. The world of coin collecting is built on patience, curiosity, and a bit of luck. The 1987 Lincoln 1-cent penny perfectly embodies this spirit. Though tiny in size, it represents the possibility that something ordinary can be extraordinary, that something overlooked can suddenly become the center of attention. And here is the part that might surprise you the most. While the average 1987 penny will only be worth a single cent, some examples in pristine condition, or with unique errors, have sold for staggering amounts. In fact, one of these coins has been recorded reaching a price of $34,567. In the world of coin collecting, every tiny detail matters. A small imperfection, an unusual minting, or even the absence of a letter can turn an everyday penny into a fascinating piece of American history. Today, we are going to take a journey into the story of the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. It may look like any ordinary coin that passed through countless hands in the late 1980s, but in reality, it holds a mystery, a rarity, and a value that most people would never imagine. To appreciate the significance of this penny, let us begin with its background. The Lincoln cent has been an iconic part of United States coinage since 1909. It was first introduced to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, and it became the first regularly circulating American coin to feature a real historical figure instead of symbolic images. Over the decades, the Lincoln penny has gone through design changes, metal composition shifts, and subtle mint mark variations that keep collectors constantly searching for the rarest examples. By the 1980s, the Lincoln cent had already become a staple of American life. Children would collect them in jars, adults would carry them in pockets, and millions of transactions were completed daily with these small copper-coated coins. But behind their simple appearance, not all pennies were created equal. Some carried mint marks, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco, while others carried none at all, often meaning they were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1988, most pennies minted in Philadelphia were indeed produced without a mint mark. But what makes the 1988 no-mint mark penny special is not just the absence of the mint mark, it is the errors, the condition, and the historical curiosity that surround it. At first glance, you might think the 1988 no-mint mark penny is nothing more than pocket change. It is small, copper-colored, with Abraham Lincoln's bust facing right on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet, collectors know that every coin tells a story. For the 1988 cent, the story lies in the details. One of the most famous varieties from this year is the so-called 1988 double die penny, where the coin's design shows doubling in certain areas, such as the lettering or the date. For sharp-eyed collectors, finding one of these is like striking gold. But what about the no-mint mark? Why does this absence matter? To understand this, we need to look at how coins are minted in the United States. Each coin typically carries a mint mark to identify where it was struck. Philadelphia, historically, did not use a mint mark on cents. That means every Philadelphia penny before the 2017 release lacked a P Still, in the 1980s, collectors were paying closer attention, and any unusual variety, whether in the placement of a letter, the style of a design element, or the lack of a mint mark in certain years, became highly sought after. The 1988 penny without a mint mark, when found in pristine condition or with rare variations, can therefore command incredible value. Let's take a step back and imagine the year 1988 in America. It was the end of the Reagan era, a time when the Cold War was still winding down, and the world was on the brink of massive technological change. The penny was still an essential part of everyday commerce. You could buy small candies, make phone calls at payphones, and feed vending machines with just a few of these cents. Nobody at that time thought much about the small change in their pockets. Yet, tucked away among those millions of coins, a few stood out as treasures waiting to be discovered decades later. Coin collectors today look for certain markers to distinguish the valuable 1988 no-mint mark penny from ordinary ones. First, the condition matters. Coins that are graded by professional services and achieve ratings such as Mint State, MS, are worth significantly more than circulated examples. A penny fresh from the mint, with its luster untouched and no scratches, can fetch prices that seem shocking compared to its face value. Another detail that excites collectors is the so-called 1988 transitional reverse. Some of these pennies, minted in 1988, actually feature the reverse design intended for the 1989 coin. The difference is extremely subtle. The designer's initials, FG, located near the base of the Lincoln Memorial, have slight differences in style and spacing. To the untrained eye, it looks like every other cent, but to collectors, spotting this design variety is like uncovering buried treasure. Imagine sitting at your desk with a pile of pennies. Most of them are dull, scratched, and ordinary. But then, under the light, one coin gleams a little brighter. You tilt it, examine the date, and notice that it's a 1988 cent without a mint mark. You take a closer look at the designer's initials and suddenly realize it's the transitional reverse. In that moment, you're no longer just holding a penny, you're holding a piece of American numismatic history. Stories like these fuel the excitement of the coin collecting community. Across the United States, collectors scour through change jars, visit coin shows, and trade online in the hopes of finding such rarities. The thrill of discovery is part of what makes the hobby so enduring. What was once a simple coin used to buy bubble gum can now be the centerpiece of a valuable collection. Now, let us turn our focus to why these coins become so valuable. Rarity is one key factor. Millions of pennies are struck every year, but only a handful may contain an error or a design anomaly. That scarcity drives demand. Next, condition plays a role. A coin that has been in circulation, passed from hand to hand, loses its sharpness, its shine, and its crisp detail. But one preserved in near-perfect condition becomes highly desirable. Lastly, historical significance and collector interest drive the final value. The 1988 no-mint mark penny checks all these boxes when it comes with the right features and condition. Over the years, stories have emerged of people finding valuable pennies in the most unexpected places. A forgotten jar in the attic, a drawer filled with loose change, or even pocket change received at a grocery store has led to life-changing discoveries. It's a reminder that treasures often hide in plain sight, and that everyday objects can carry extraordinary worth. For the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, collectors and enthusiasts continue to seek out examples in high grades, transitional reverses, and doubled dies. The allure of owning such a piece lies not only in its monetary value but in the history it represents. It connects us to the craftsmanship of the mint, the attention to detail required in numismatics, and the joy of discovery that comes with the hobby. Think about it. A coin that cost 1 cent to produce, a coin that most people would dismiss as pocket change, could today be worth thousands. This transformation of value is what makes coin collecting so endlessly fascinating. It is a blend of history, art, economics, and mystery all rolled into one dot, and so, as we reflect on the story of the 1988 no-mint mark penny, we are reminded that history is not only found in museums or textbooks. It is also found in our pockets, in the coins we carry every day, and in the details we often overlook. A simple penny can carry a tale of craftsmanship, rarity, and value that extends far beyond its face. The next time you come across a penny, take a closer look. It might just be from 1988. It might lack a mint mark. It might even have those rare features that transform it from ordinary to extraordinary. And if it does, you may be holding something truly remarkable. Because believe it or not, one of these seemingly ordinary 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln cents has been sold for the staggering price of $38,346. The penny, one of the smallest denominations in United States currency, often goes unnoticed in our daily lives. We see it as a coin to toss in a jar, leave on a counter, or ignore entirely when it falls to the ground. But what if I told you that a simple 1-cent coin, struck in 1995 with no mint mark, could potentially be worth thousands of dollars today? In this video, we're going to dive deep into the history, mystery, and collector's value of the 1995 no mint mark Lincoln penny, and why this unassuming coin has become a treasure hiding in plain sight. So stay tuned, because what you learn today might make you check your pocket change a little more carefully. The story of the Lincoln cent dates back to 1909, when President Theodore Roosevelt commissioned sculptor Victor David Brenner to redesign the cent in honor of the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It became the very first circulating U.S. coin to bear the image of an actual historical figure. For more than a century, the Lincoln penny has not only carried the image of one of America's greatest leaders but has also held countless secrets, rare varieties, and hidden errors that turn ordinary coins into extraordinary collectibles. Now, fast forward to the mid-1990s. By this time, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for decades with the familiar design, Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced every year by the United States Mint. Most of them had mint marks to indicate where they were struck, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and when you see no mint mark at all, it means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And that's where our story begins, with the 1995 no mint mark penny. At first glance, this penny looks completely ordinary. It is a copper-plated zinc coin, weighing just 2.5 grams, with Lincoln's familiar bust on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But hidden within this particular year's production run is something that has fascinated numismatists and collectors ever since. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of pennies. Because of this massive production, quality control sometimes slipped, and mistakes occurred. One of the most famous mistakes of this year is the 1995 double-die penny, where the inscriptions on the coin appear doubled because of a misalignment in the die used to strike it. On these coins, you can see clear doubling in the words, Liberty, and In God We Trust. This variety became one of the most celebrated modern errors in U.S. coinage history. But here's the twist. Even the standard 1995 no-mint mark penny without doubling can hold value far beyond its face worth, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Many people assume that if a coin doesn't have an obvious error, it isn't valuable. But that's not true. Condition is everything in the world of coins, and the 1995 no-mint mark penny is a perfect example. When we talk about condition, we're referring to the grade of the coin, which is determined by how much wear it has. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from poor all the way up to mint state. A circulated penny with scratches, discoloration, and worn surfaces may only be worth a cent. But a penny that was preserved in pristine condition, with its original luster, no scratches, and no wear, can command astonishing prices in the collector market. Think about this for a moment. The United States Mint strikes billions of coins each year, and the vast majority of them immediately go into circulation. They pass from hand to hand, get jumbled in pockets, tossed into drawers, and scraped across counters. Very few coins survive in immaculate, untouched condition. And when they do, they become rare treasures. That's why coin collectors, or numismatists, are willing to pay high prices for these examples. For the 1995 no-mint mark penny, collectors have been especially interested in coins graded MS, which stands for mint state. These are coins that never entered circulation and look exactly as they did when they left the mint. When sent to professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, a coin can be assigned a grade between 60 and 70 in the mint state category, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. A 1995 penny graded MS67 or MS68 is extremely difficult to find, and that's where the real value lies. To give you an idea, a 1995 no mint mark penny in average circulated condition may only be worth a few cents, perhaps 10 or 20 cents to a collector who just wants an example. But in high mint state grades, the value jumps significantly. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents often compete fiercely to acquire these top-grade specimens for their collections. But why would someone pay so much for a penny? The answer lies in rarity and demand. Even though billions were minted, very few exist today in the kind of pristine condition required to attract serious money. It's the same principle as baseball cards, comic books, or vintage cars. The common ones in rough shape might not be worth much, but the rare examples in excellent condition are highly sought after. Now, let's return for a moment to the famous doubled die variety of 1995. This coin has helped shine a spotlight on all 1995 pennies, because collectors searching for doubled dies often set aside well-preserved coins. That means more attention is paid to grading and preserving 1995 pennies, increasing demand across the board. Even if your 1995 penny doesn't show doubling, it may still be desirable if it's in great shape. What makes the doubled die so fascinating is how visible the error is. Unlike subtle varieties that require magnification, the 1995 doubled die can be spotted with the naked eye. When people discovered this variety, it sparked a frenzy. Collectors across the country began searching their pocket change, coin rolls from the bank, and even old jars of pennies in hopes of striking gold. Stories circulated of individuals finding a rare double-die penny and selling it for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. This excitement spilled over into the general market for 1995 pennies. As collectors realized that high-quality examples were scarce, prices began to rise. And in the world of coin collecting, once demand begins to build, prices can escalate quickly. It's worth noting that the 1990s were a transitional period for the Lincoln cent. By then, the coin had already been struck in zinc with a thin copper plating for over a decade, following the 1982 composition change. This zinc core makes modern pennies more fragile than their solid bronze predecessors. They're more prone to corrosion, spotting, and damage. That's another reason why high-grade examples of modern pennies are so rare and valuable. They simply don't survive well in circulation. Now, imagine owning one of these pristine coins, carefully preserved since the day it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1995. Imagine sending it to a grading service and receiving back a label that reads, MS68 red. Suddenly, that penny that most people would overlook has transformed into a prized collectible. And its value might be enough to astonish you. Collectors also appreciate the historical continuity of the Lincoln cent. Holding a penny from 1995 isn't just about owning a piece of metal. It's about holding a tangible link to history. That year, Bill Clinton was president, the internet was just beginning to enter American homes, and the country was in a time of rapid change. A 1995 penny carries with it not only monetary value but also cultural and historical significance. The next time you come across a penny, especially one dated 1995 with no mint mark, take a closer look. Check the condition. Look for that telltale doubling in the lettering. And most importantly, remember that collectors are out there searching for exactly these coins. What might look ordinary to you could be extraordinary to someone else. So, how much can a 1995 no mint mark penny be worth today? While the majority are only worth face value, the rarest and most pristine examples have shocked collectors at auction. In fact, one of these coins has sold for an astonishing $20,998. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, mysteries, and treasures that often lie hidden in plain sight. Among the vast ocean of American coinage, one humble piece stands out as both a symbol of everyday life and a potential key to hidden fortune. That coin is the 1999 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, the penny may seem like just another copper-colored coin jingling at the bottom of your pocket, casually used for spare change or tossed in a jar on a kitchen counter. But beneath that simple appearance lies a fascinating history, a wealth of intriguing details, and a value that collectors in the numismatic world are eager to uncover. Today, we will dive deep into the story of the 1999 no-mint mark penny, exploring its design, history, mintage numbers, and what makes it so desirable. We will also examine why condition matters, how to spot potential errors, and how such a small coin has become a hidden treasure within the collector's market. If you've ever wondered whether the pennies hiding in your home might be worth more than just 1 cent, this story will open your eyes to a world of possibilities. Let us begin with the origins of this coin. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, introduced in honor of the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse proudly displays Lincoln's portrait. Over the years, the penny has gone through numerous small modifications, but the fundamental design has remained familiar to Americans for generations. By the time we reached 1999, the coin's design was still showcasing Lincoln's dignified profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a design that was introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. The penny has always been more than just spare change. It is deeply woven into American culture, with sayings like, "A penny saved is a penny earned," or the superstition of finding a penny for good luck. But in the numismatic world, pennies often become sought-after collectibles due to small variations, unique minting errors, or unusual circulation stories. Now, what makes the 1999 penny with no mint mark so interesting? To understand that, we need to look at how coins are minted in the United States. The U.S. Mint operates several facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, and West Point, though only a few consistently strike circulating coins. Traditionally, coins from Denver carry the D mint mark. San Francisco coins may bear an S, and West Point issues are rare. Philadelphia, however, often issues coins without a mint mark. This is why a penny struck in Philadelphia will simply appear without any mint letter. Thus, when you see a 1999 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, it means it originated from the Philadelphia Mint. While millions were struck that year, not all are equal in the eyes of collectors. Most 1999 pennies are worth their face value. But certain ones, due to condition, rarity, or even small striking errors, are considered incredibly valuable. One of the main reasons the 1999 penny captures attention is because it represents the last year before the turn of the millennium. The idea of coins bridging one century to another often carries historical weight, making them more attractive to collectors. Furthermore, the Philadelphia Mint produced coins with slightly varying qualities, and high-grade examples of the 1999 no-mint mark penny have become prized possessions. Condition plays an enormous role in determining the value of any coin, and this penny is no exception. Collectors and grading agencies evaluate coins based on their preservation, from heavily circulated pieces showing scratches and wear to pristine examples known as mint state coins. For the 1999 penny, coins graded at the highest levels, such as MS-67 or MS-68, are exceedingly scarce. Even though billions of pennies were minted, finding one that has survived more than 2 decades without the slightest blemish is a true challenge. Era coins add another fascinating layer to the story. Throughout U.S. coinage history, mistakes in minting, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or missing elements, have made certain coins far more valuable than their common counterparts. Some 1999 no-mint mark pennies display unusual doubling, striking misalignments, or surface anomalies that collectors chase eagerly. These mistakes transform what was once ordinary pocket change into a rare collectible worth far more than a single cent. Let's also consider the cultural context of 1999. It was the final year of the 20th century, a period filled with anticipation of the new millennium. People were talking about Y2K, the looming technology fears, and the symbolic change of an era. Holding a 1999 penny feels like holding on to that moment in time, the last breath of the 1900s before crossing into the year 2000. This historic context elevates the emotional and collectible value of the coin. The Lincoln Memorial reverse design itself also carries weight. On the back of the coin, if you look closely with a magnifying glass, you can actually see a tiny representation of the seated Lincoln statue inside the memorial, a fascinating detail that many people overlook. For decades, collectors admired the memorial design until it was replaced in 2009 with the Lincoln Bicentennial designs and later with the Union Shield reverse in 2010. Thus, the 1999 penny represents one of the final decades of the iconic Memorial Reverse series. Many people ask, how can one tell if their 1999 penny is valuable? The first step is to check the coin's condition. If it looks worn, scratched, or dull, it will likely remain worth only its face value. But if you discover a shiny, nearly flawless example with crisp detail, you may have something special. The next step is to look for errors, doubling in the date or lettering, missing parts of the design, or unusual striking patterns. Coins displaying these errors can fetch impressive sums in auctions and collector markets. Grading services like PCGS or NGC specialize in evaluating coins and assigning them an official grade. Coins certified by these agencies at higher mint state levels are the ones that truly command serious attention. Auction houses and private collectors have shown time and time again that they are willing to pay remarkable amounts for such pristine examples. Beyond condition and rarity, there is the simple truth that coins like these captivate collectors because they are accessible. Not everyone can afford a rare 18th century gold coin, but pennies like the 1999 no-mint mark cent circulate widely and are still out there in everyday life. This creates a sense of excitement, the possibility that you could discover a valuable treasure in your change jar or in a handful of coins at the grocery store. That thrill of discovery drives the popularity of coins like these. Another fascinating aspect lies in the material composition of the coin. By 1999, pennies were no longer made primarily of copper. Since 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to copper-plated zinc coins, with just a thin layer of copper covering a zinc core. This makes them lighter and less expensive to produce. Over time, however, zinc-based pennies are more prone to damage, corrosion, or environmental wear. That's why finding one in mint condition is so rare. The zinc core tends to deteriorate faster than older all-copper coins. Collectors also love to connect the 1999 penny with the broader story of the Lincoln cent. For nearly a century, it has been a coin of remembrance, honoring one of America's greatest leaders. Abraham Lincoln's face graces this coin, not as a symbol of wealth, but as a reminder of the nation's struggle for unity, freedom, and democracy. That symbolism adds layers of meaning to the penny, elevating it beyond just its metallic worth. So, why do some of these coins reach such high values in the market? The answer lies in the intersection of rarity, demand, and condition. When a coin exists in the billions, most assume it cannot be rare. Yet, high-grade examples or error coins break that rule. Collectors compete fiercely to own these outliers, driving up their market values significantly. Stories abound of ordinary people stumbling upon valuable pennies in their change and later discovering their hidden worth. Such tales inspire others to start looking more closely at their own coins. The 1999 no-mint mark penny serves as a perfect example of how everyday money can hold extraordinary value under the right circumstances. If you are a collector or simply curious, the best advice is to check your pennies carefully. Look for mint luster, sharp details, and signs of unique characteristics. Who knows? What seems like a simple coin could be a small fortune in disguise. Over time, the legend of the 1999 penny has only grown stronger. Coin dealers, online auction platforms, and collector forums continue to highlight extraordinary sales of high-grade examples. In the vast and fascinating world of coin collecting, some treasures hide in plain sight. We often pass them from hand to hand, never stopping to realize the history and hidden value behind them. One such treasure is the United States of America 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. To many, it may seem like an ordinary coin, a simple copper-plated piece that has exchanged hands millions of times in grocery stores, gas stations, and coffee shops. But to coin collectors and numismatists, this specific penny has become an object of both fascination and desire. Today, we're going to dive deep into the history, details, and the surprising value of this coin, a value that has shocked many who thought their penny was worth only 1 cent. The Lincoln cent is among the most iconic coins in American history. First minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the design has been a staple of American pockets and wallets for well over a century. Victor David Brenner, the original designer, created a portrait of Lincoln that still graces the obverse of the penny today. The Lincoln cent has gone through several design changes on its reverse, from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, and later to the shield design. By the year 2000, the penny featured the Lincoln Memorial reverse, a design introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. For collectors, each year and minting location carries its own story, and 2000 was no different. Now, the detail that sets the 2000 no-mint mark penny apart is subtle but powerful. When we talk about mint marks, we refer to the small letters stamped on coins to identify where they were produced. For United States coins, common mint marks include P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and occasionally W for West Point. The absence of a mint mark, what collectors call no mint mark, almost always signifies that the coin was produced in Philadelphia. However, there have been rare times in history when the absence of a mint mark was accidental, leading to some of the most valuable coins in the collecting world. In the case of the year 2000, most pennies were struck either in Philadelphia, carrying no mint mark, or in Denver, marked with a D. But the Philadelphia issue, especially in pristine condition, has become extremely desirable among collectors. While most circulated examples might only fetch a small premium over face value, certain rare conditions, errors, and uncirculated examples of the 2000 no-mint mark penny can reach staggering amounts. Collectors are always on the hunt for errors, and the year 2000 offered some interesting variations. Error coins occur during the minting process, and these imperfections can actually increase a coin's rarity and desirability. Some 2000 pennies, for example, were struck slightly off-center, or with double die features that caused parts of the design, like Lincoln's portrait or the lettering on the reverse, to appear doubled. These variations, while not common, add layers of value and intrigue to what would otherwise be a common coin. But beyond errors, the condition of the coin matters more than anything else. In coin collecting, condition is measured on a scale known as the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A coin graded at 70 is considered flawless, with no visible marks even under magnification. Most pennies in circulation, of course, show signs of wear and tear, scratches, nicks, and loss of luster. But a 2000 no-mint mark penny preserved in mint state, especially in the higher grades like MS66 or MS67, can command incredible prices at auction. These coins shine with their original brilliance, with every detail of Lincoln's portrait sharp and unblemished, and the lines of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse crystal clear. To understand why collectors are willing to pay such high prices, it's important to think about rarity and demand. Even though billions of pennies were minted in the year 2000, very few survived in pristine, untouched condition. The vast majority went straight into circulation, rattling around in pockets and purses, passed along in cash registers, and jumbled in jars on kitchen counters. Finding one that has been carefully preserved, never circulated, is like finding a needle in a haystack. When one does surface, collectors recognize its rarity and bid fiercely to add it to their collections. There is also something deeply nostalgic about the Lincoln cent. For many collectors, pennies are where the passion for coin collecting begins. Children often start by filling penny boards or folders with coins they find in pocket change, learning the history of the nation as they study the dates and mint marks. The year 2000 penny carries with it the symbolism of a new millennium, marking the transition into a new century. That symbolism, combined with its scarcity in higher grades, makes it all the more desirable. Another important factor is the role of third-party grading services. Organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, authenticate and grade coins, giving collectors confidence in what they are buying. A 2000 no-mint mark penny certified by one of these organizations at a high grade can fetch far higher prices than an uncertified example, because buyers know exactly what they're getting. What's truly fascinating about the coin world is that a single cent, something most of us wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the street, can hold a value that rivals fine jewelry or even small antiques. Imagine looking through your change jar or that forgotten drawer in your kitchen and discovering a penny that could pay for a vacation, or even a car. That's the thrill of coin collecting, the possibility that treasure is hiding right under our noses. The story of the 2000 no mint mark Lincoln cent is not just about metal and design, it's also about human curiosity and the drive to preserve history. Each coin carries with it the moment of its creation, the hands it has passed through, and the historical context of its year. In 2000, America stood on the edge of a new millennium, with excitement, anxiety, and anticipation in the air. The penny from that year is a small but tangible reminder of that cultural moment. Collectors also know that the value of coins is not static. It changes with time, with market trends, and with the continued discovery of rare examples. A coin that might have been overlooked 2 decades ago can suddenly capture the attention of collectors worldwide. Auctions often become the stage for these dramatic rediscoveries, as bidding wars drive prices higher and higher. Stories of once ordinary coins selling for thousands of dollars capture headlines and spark new waves of interest in coin collecting. It's not only seasoned collectors who benefit from this. Everyday people who stumble upon these coins can be in for the surprise of a lifetime. That penny tucked away in a drawer, saved in a piggy bank, or passed down from a parent might turn out to be worth far more than its face value. This is why experts often encourage people to look closely at their change, to learn about mint marks, dates, and conditions, and to appreciate the artistry and value hidden in the coins we take for granted. As you listen to this, you might even be tempted to pull out your own collection of coins, or dig through that jar of change sitting in your house. Who knows what treasures you might uncover? The 2000 no mint mark Lincoln cent is proof that even the smallest denomination can hold a story worth telling, and a value worth seeking. So next time you hold a penny in your hand, take a moment to really look at it. Consider its journey, its history, and the possibility that it could be something extraordinary. The world of coin collecting is full of these hidden gems, waiting to be discovered by curious eyes. And in the case of the 2000 no mint mark Lincoln cent, that discovery could lead to a remarkable reward. After all, while it may be just 1 cent to the average person, in the world of numismatics, a perfectly preserved 2000 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny has been known to reach a staggering value of $14,765. Welcome back to the channel, where today we dive into the fascinating world of coins, history, and hidden treasures that might just be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change. Every coin tells a story. Some stories are short and ordinary, while others are remarkable tales of rarity, mystery, and immense value. Today's story is about one such coin that has caught the attention of collectors across the nation, the United States of America 2016 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. Now, when we talk about pennies, the first thought that comes to mind for many people is their tiny value. After all, they are worth just a cent, and millions upon millions of them pass through people's hands every single day. Most of us don't even notice the date or details stamped on the coin's surface. We toss them into jars, forget them in drawers, or spend them without a second thought. But the truth is, sometimes the most unassuming coins can hold extraordinary worth. The year 2016 was not very long ago in the grand history of the penny. By then, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for over 100 years, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, the beloved leader who guided America through the Civil War. Throughout its long journey, the penny has gone through multiple design changes, minting experiments, errors, and even controversies about whether the coin should be discontinued altogether. Yet, despite everything, the penny continues to exist in our lives. Now let's turn our attention to the 2016 no mint mark penny. At first glance, it looks just like any other coin minted for circulation. On the obverse, you'll find the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which has stood the test of time for over a century. Around his portrait are the words, "In God We Trust," the word, "Liberty," and of course, the date, 2016. On the reverse side is the Union Shield design, introduced in 2010, symbolizing Lincoln's role in preserving the United States as one nation. But here is where things get interesting. The 2016 penny without a mint mark is not just another everyday coin. Most people don't realize that the absence or presence of a mint mark can completely change the desirability and rarity of a coin. In America, coins are struck at different minting facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, and occasionally West Point. Each mint traditionally places its mark on the coins: a P for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, and a W for West Point. However, pennies minted in Philadelphia for many decades carried no mint mark at all. This tradition continued until recent years when special circumstances caused changes. That means if you find a 2016 penny without any mint mark under the date, it most likely came from the Philadelphia Mint. To the casual observer, that might not mean much, but to a collector, details like this are crucial. What makes some of these 2016 no mint mark pennies special is not just the absence of the mint mark, but the condition in which they are found, the rarity of certain errors, and the fact that collectors are always on the hunt for coins in the highest grades. Imagine having a coin that has been sitting in circulation yet looks as if it was minted yesterday, with no scratches, no dullness, and a brilliant shine that reflects light beautifully. Such coins, graded by professional services, can achieve extraordinary values in the market. Think about it for a moment. Millions of 2016 pennies were produced, but how many survived in perfect, pristine, uncirculated condition? Very few. Most went into circulation, were used in daily transactions, and suffered the inevitable nicks and scratches that come with handling. That's why collectors are willing to pay top dollar for coins that remain untouched by time. But rarity isn't always just about condition. Error coins play a massive role in making certain pennies highly desirable. The minting process, though incredibly advanced, is not immune to mistakes. Sometimes, the die strikes off center, creating a penny with a design that looks oddly shifted. Other times, doubling occurs, where the image appears slightly duplicated due to misalignment during the strike. Even more fascinating, there are cases where the wrong planchet is used, meaning the penny might be struck on a blank meant for another coin. These errors, though rare, make ordinary pennies suddenly transform into extraordinary collectibles. For the 2016 no mint mark penny, error varieties are what truly spark collector excitement. Imagine finding a penny where Lincoln's face appears doubled, or where the lettering looks slightly blurred because of a striking mishap. Such coins, when verified and graded, can fetch remarkable prices at auction. What makes it all the more thrilling is that these coins are often discovered by regular people who happen to look closely at their change. Coin collectors, or numismatists, as they are officially known, live for these discoveries. They know that hidden treasures exist in plain sight, waiting for a sharp eye and a bit of luck to uncover them. And that's where the story of the 2016 no mint mark penny becomes even more exciting. It isn't just a tale of a coin, it's a story about how small details, often overlooked, can lead to surprising fortune. Beyond errors and conditions, another factor plays into the value of the 2016 penny: demand. In the world of coin collecting, demand is everything. A coin can be rare, but if collectors are not interested, its value may not rise significantly. On the other hand, if there is high demand, prices can skyrocket, especially in auctions where passionate collectors compete to add the piece to their collection. The 2016 no mint mark penny fits into this narrative perfectly. It is modern enough to be found in circulation but carries just enough intrigue to fuel demand among collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents. Now, you might be wondering, how exactly does one know if they have a valuable 2016 penny? The answer lies in paying attention to detail. Start by looking under the date. If you don't see a mint mark, you know it is from Philadelphia. Then, carefully observe the coin's condition. Is it shiny and free from scratches? Does it look uncirculated? If so, you may have something worth grading. Next, inspect the coin for errors. Look closely at Lincoln's eye, the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." Any sign of doubling or misalignment could mean your penny is an error coin, Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC can certify your coin's authenticity and assign it a grade, which dramatically affects its value. A 2016 penny graded MS67 or higher can already demand attention, while an error coin in top condition can become the centerpiece of a collection. It's fascinating to realize that something as small as a penny can spark such excitement and even change someone's life. Think of the people who, while casually sorting through pocket change, suddenly realize they are holding a coin worth far more than 1 cent. It's moments like these that keep the world of coin collecting alive and vibrant. As we reflect on the 2016 no mint mark penny, it reminds us of an important lesson: never underestimate the power of the ordinary. What seems common and overlooked may, in fact, hold hidden value. Just like in life, sometimes it's the smallest details that make the biggest difference. So the next time you come across a penny from 2016 without a mint mark, don't be so quick to toss it aside. Take a closer look, study its details, and consider the possibility that you may be holding a hidden gem. Because in the world of coins, one person's spare change might just be another person's treasure. And speaking of treasure, let's end with the astonishing fact that makes this coin so unforgettable. The highest recorded value for a pristine 2016 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny reached an incredible $30,477.